Hello, welcome back, everyone. Another little update, just a little vlog. Trying to get some sleep right now, but trying to wear myself down. Um, yeah, I've just been thinking, like, I don't know. I don't know if any of this makes sense. It's kind of like deeply in touch with me that I've had a lot of moments where, like, I just did not know what's happening, you know. I question it that if you take it in a different reflection, you say someone else like this, like, say, I'll take it as a story, right? Like, Dover. No, Doey. Do. Let's just say Danny, for instance. Danny goes through some big changes, and he's out of a formal school. He kind of shifts his knowledge to understanding through his journey. He's a deserter after a while, but it wasn't always like that. Like, he was in school a lot. He had made a lot of friends, but at some point he realized that it wasn't for him. A lot of those things, and at least what he's represented as is something that he kind of gets twisted on, you know. And Danny doesn't know what to think because Danny's kind of like he's a little bit strangled in a lot of depression and everything, right? Danny's like that, and I would say that through his travels and everything, and that he was in the desert, and he kind of met more people. It's kind of like Moses, I guess, you know. But Danny kind of fulfilled his purpose along the way, you know. But like a different story would probably be like, let's say Danny, I guess we could do stories. I used to do that, right? But let's say that he kind of, and this is the possibility stuff, right? But Danny knew this girl, and Danny knew this girl. He knew him well. He knew her well, in a way where they met like in a little bit, and it kind of felt like they were forever. But like, he knew it didn't last. So in his world, it kind of felt like, well, I'm not really not interested. It's just that he's not really, he doesn't understand everything that way, and he doesn't because he's not right in the head all the time, you know. Like Danny kind of, I don't know. He kind of takes different approach to everything. So I understand that part of it. A lot of people would say that's an extension of who you are as a person, and maybe you have an extension of yourself. I would write Danny in stories too, because he was a good person, right? So again, this is an extension of you, but like a lot of the times, it's kind of like you get twisted on. 3 minutes right there, but there's a lot of the. Sorry, it looks weird when I did that. Sorry, I'm trying to take the time. But like Danny, kind of either militarized, he kind of militant guerrilla warfare type shit, and he realized that the end is pretty much near, you know, because the systems that we know it, like Danny kind of figured out that he didn't really. He knew that a lot of the stuff that he did wasn't. It wasn't because he had a different mind than everyone else. He just knew that he was in the center of it and that he was a target of it, you know. And you got to realize that sometimes it's kind of that way. Sometimes you're not the target, but very rarely that people are the target. But a lot of people aren't the target, and they just kind of, Danny kind of sees that they're not the target, and they just kind of take everything for what they have, you know. But I say that because I think everyone has a Danny in their life, you know. Everyone has a Danny because it's important for them to. Sorry, I gotta fucking think about this real quick. But that's what energies and everything with Danny, and he's kind of like arc priest too. He has powers. He doesn't do voodoo a lot, but he knows a lot about it. But he can manifest his world. He can do these things as powers. But like, again, I tell people that because I think Danny kind of a lot of people get the intention that he thinks the intention is that they think, or well, like the woman, right? Like it's like they can't how to explain it? I can't explain it. Like Danny would kind of shift his approach, you know. But let's say like, for instance, that he meets someone like Chris or Marco, and they have different minds, you know. But like, for him, it was kind of like balancing that. But I don't talk about other people like that, right? But like, Danny was kind of like, okay, I have a little bit of an issue, you know, and it's kind of like a movie playing in front of me. So what steps do I take for that, you know? And a lot of times with spiritual powers, that is what it is, because you kind of just, I don't know, you kind of just don't kind of have gravity of the situation. You're just in the life and you don't think about it, you know? So Danny kind of thinks like for him that he isn't kind of like approachable in the way that people think, because a lot of the times that he tries to try to time real quick. He tries to be approachable. He's kind of like, I can't be approachable, you know. And it's like, because people don't understand me. So you can kind of see where it leads, right? You can kind of see where it kind of goes, and you can kind of see the dark road and the road of light. But a lot of times Danny avoids the dark road because he realizes that it's only darkness, you know. In the light you can see more, right? So Danny understands that through his spiritual practice in that. Okay, in the dark you're only gonna see dark. It doesn't get more dark than that, because you're just in there. You just fucking, you're in a pit. You just, you know, you can't see shit, right? But like, a lot of the times he understood that, like, in the future, that things kind of work out a certain way. So he understood that, right? But a lot of people don't understand that. So it's kind of like that, right? That's Danny, right? But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I'll talk about it in another part. Thank you. Peace.